Which NFL teams had the best off seasons? What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here to give you my 5 favorite off seasons across the NFL, from the draft to free agency, the teams that I felt did the best, and the off seasons that I personally felt were my favorite. So before I give you the 5 best off seasons, make sure that you do spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this. Also, get in that comment section and let me know which off seasons were your favorite, and if your favorite team had a good one, let me know in the comment section below. Let's kick off my 5 favorite off seasons with the Buffalo Bills. An outside the box choice, the Buffalo Bills, I don't feel will be on a lot of people's personal 5 favorite off seasons, but I do see the Bills as a team that went from high-end contender to certified favorite to win the AFC in 2022, and it's because of the offseason they had. When we look at the Chiefs and the Bengals and the teams that were in the main competition category for the Buffalo Bills, those teams, many of them, took a step back or did not take the step forward that Buffalo did this offseason. Buffalo, they made a play. They made a statement. They went after Von Miller. They went after a playmaker for the fourth quarter, for those big games versus the best quarterbacks to get to the quarterback. They have now a proven legend of this game that is extraordinary when it comes to playoff football. And Von Miller is possibly going to put that defense over the edge in those playoff big games. We've seen them fail against Kansas City a couple times now in the playoffs, and it's because they have not had that pass rusher to get to the quarterback when they need it the most, and Von Miller can be that guy. On top of that, what I love about Buffalo is the moves that they do not make. They're very small, but not re-signing Cole Beasley, not re-signing Levi Wallace, not re-signing Emmanuel Sanders, Jerry Hughes. Some of these older players that maybe have shown they are declining, they are regressing. Well, let's go in a different direction. Let's upgrade our team with some younger talents or potentially some veterans who are hungry. And I felt like Buffalo did a great job of that this offseason, bringing in Jamison Crowder, a veteran, but still got some play left. I feel still has some upside that has yet to be tapped, leaving the Jets, a place that doesn't know what winning is, to a winning franchise in Buffalo now, and a chance to win a Super Bowl this year. Jamison Crowder, you might get the best out of him. You replace Cole Beasley with him in the slot. You also give players like Isaiah McKenzie potentially a bigger role on offense. You bring in veterans like Roger Saffold from the Titans, who gives you some grittiness and some toughness and some power to an offense that lacked those qualities a year ago to hopefully help your running game. Drafting James Cook as a receiving running back to add an element to your offense and a dimension that wasn't there a year ago and has been lacking. Another weapon and another piece and another layer to the already very difficult to stop offense that you already have. So those pieces are very nice, but then you talk about some of the proven commodities that you bring back to your system. Shaq Lawson on the defensive line. And then inside, you get Jordan Phillips back from the Cardinals, who is a double-digit sack guy in your system. And then Daquan Jones from the Tennessee Titans to help out your run defense. Cornerback, Elam, first round to upgrade over Levi Wallace and potentially add some more speed and some more man-to-man ability. I just love what the Buffalo Bills have done at every level. They've gotten deeper on the offensive and defensive lines. They've gotten faster on the perimeter, and I feel they've put themselves in position, thanks to this offseason, to be the AFC favorites for 2022. The second team on my favorite offseasons list, we're staying in the AFC East. It's the New York Jets, but for different reasons than the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, it's about getting to the Super Bowl. It's about winning the Super Bowl. The Jets, they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but one day they might, and it might be because of what they've done here this offseason. When you look at the goals entering the offseason for the New York Jets, let's add a wide receiver. Let's continue to get better on the offensive line. Let's maybe add a dynamic running back. Let's look at our secondary and improve that. Let's continue to add players to Robert Saleh's defensive scheme. Check, 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 check. the New York Jets are now set up for extreme success over the next couple of years. They've set the foundation of their team moving forward. And building around Zach Wilson all starts up front on the offensive line. Early in the offseason, in free agency, they added Laken Tomlinson, one of the missing pieces to their offensive line, specifically the interior offensive line, who has experience in a very similar system going from Shanahan to LaFleur. You then move to the perimeter, the draft. You addressed Garrett Wilson. You add running back Breece Hall, who can catch the football, run the football, and add an explosive athlete to that running back position for breakaway runs and breakaway plays. The playmakers are there. The offensive line is there. You revamp the tight end position, adding one in the draft, adding 2 proven ones through free agency, Conklin and Uzoma. You pretty much upgraded every spot you possibly could around Zach Wilson offensively. Offensive line, wide receiver, running back, tight end. You did it all. Defensively, you have arguably the best defensive line in football right now. I mean, Jermaine Johnson is a perfect scheme fit for Robert Saleh. You added a bunch of depth moves that I don't think anybody really knows of. Martin, guys like Solomon Thomas, just all these players that fit this scheme really, really well. Vinny Curry is another one who is another veteran who can be a contributor to a football team. Just so many moves on the front seven, specifically the defensive line, where Robert Saleh, his scheme is made from a dominant defensive line. So you give him as many assets as possible on top of the guys that you already have, Quinnen Williams, Carl Lawson, Sheldon Rankins. It puts him as a coach and his scheme in a position to succeed, which is what you're trying to do as a general manager. But then not only that, you upgrade a weak secondary. Jordan Whitehead is going to be a statement strong safety. DJ Reed is a very nice and capable cornerback who played in this system already in Seattle. Sauce Gardner is basically the new era Richard Sherman with his swagger and his play and his length and his ability in man and zone coverage. He's going to fit perfectly. So overall, the New York Jets, their vision was just absolutely put on the table and executed to perfection. And that's why I love their offseason, because it was clear, it was obvious, but it was executed very well. And you got very good football players and young football players that will thrive in the future to surround your young quarterback. This could be an absolutely game-changing offseason for the New York Jets. It's that time of year once again. Underdog Fantasy is back. Underdog Fantasy, you guys know it's my favorite place to play fantasy, especially this summer, because Best Ball Mania 3, it's the biggest Best Ball Mania of all time. I love Best Ball, specifically on Underdog Fantasy, because there's no in-season commitment. You don't gotta worry about it, man. No trades, no waivers. You just have fun drafting your team. So right now, Underdog Fantasy will double your first deposit up to $100 when you use my promo code BLV. That is UnderdogFantasy.com. You can get it on your phone, in the App Store. It's phenomenal. I love the app. It's easy to use. Best Ball Mania 3, 10 million in prizes right now. Use the promo code BLV. That is promo code BLV and double your first deposit up to $100. I will see you there. Let's have fun this summer playing some fantasy football. The third team that I absolutely love their offseason, the Detroit Lions, I felt had an awesome draft. You get 2 huge difference-making cornerstone players at wide receiver and defensive end, Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams. Awesome. On top of that, you add some under-the-radar, big bargain free agents who have high upside. Guys like Mike Hughes at cornerback, DJ Chark at wide receiver, even bringing back Jarrad Davis at linebacker, a proven veteran safety, Deshaun Elliott. You make nice moves there. Love it. You put your team in a position where down the road, a year or 2 from now, you get that quarterback and you could be a really talented football team. And you're doing the right things in the process. You're paying the guys that are performing. Guys like Charles Harris. You re-signed him after having a great year last year and proving to your franchise that he can play in your system. You pay him. That's a good thing for a young franchise and a young regime, I should say. The Detroit Lions did a great job at all three levels, re-signing who they needed to re-sign, drafting some big game-changing players, especially for a team that needed big game-changing players on both sides of the football, and then looking for free agents, not trying to spend too much money, but looking and acquiring the right free agents. So at every level, the Detroit Lions were very wise, very smart, very calculated. And that's something the Lions have not always been, but I appreciate. So that's why I love the Lions offseason. The fourth team that I absolutely love their offseason, it's the Los Angeles Chargers. Everybody seems to be talking about the Chargers offseason, but obviously they should. I mean, the Chargers have had a great offseason, and it starts with re-signing Mike Williams, going out there and making sure Justin Herbert has his guy who's entering his prime or in his prime now, with Keenan Allen to form that dominant duo of wide receivers that every defense has to respect. You look at what they did in the draft, adding Zion Johnson to the offensive line and helping protect Justin Herbert. So right there, you get some guys to help Justin Herbert on offense. Isaiah Spiller was also very, very underrated add to running back that I think can do a little bit of everything. Great vision, great well-rounded skill set to complement Austin Eckler, or potentially even replace Austin Eckler down the road, or if he gets hurt and goes down, Spiller can be that guy to be a primary backup to him, which is very nice. Thought it was very, very small, but very, very nice. Defensively, this is where the Chargers just did work. They went to work. Defensive line, Austin Johnson. Defensive line, Sebastian Joseph Day. You fix a huge weakness last year, which was your run defense. Absolutely atrocious run defense. You had two huge human beings who are good versus the run and great at generating penetration and also creating plays in the run game. On the defensive line, you add an absolute monster on the edge in Khalil Mack, who can still play at a very high level, is a great pass rusher, but also can set the edge and defend the run. So now you have a front four that's very good and can do it all very well. Secondary, you strengthen what was already a pretty big strength. I wouldn't say their secondary was great or anything last year, but they were a pretty good pass defense overall. Their main weakness was run defense. And you add to the safety position with Woods in the draft. You add corners, J.C. Jackson, who's arguably the best in the game in my opinion, with his ball skills, his man-to-man coverage ability, his press ability, his zone instincts. On top of that, Bryce Callahan, who at times has played as the best nickel corner in the league. So now you have 4 or 5 corners who can really play a safety position that's deeper. Really, the only thing that they didn't address fully was linebacker. They bring in Kyle Van Noy, who is a bit of a linebacker edge hybrid. I expect him to play more edge as a backup in this system, as a third guy off the edge to be a little bit creative and hybrid up front. But then you could also play him on true rundowns at linebacker if you so wish, because he has that sort of skill set. On top of that, he has a winning pedigree, something that this team really needed to kind of round off the roster. The Chargers are a team that are going to be in positions to win big games, and they need that leader, that guy that's been there to push them. And I do feel Van Noy adds that little bit of edge and element to their team that was very much needed. So the Chargers, they did it all. They helped Justin Herbert. They upgraded the offensive line. They maintained their skill positions, and they massively got better on defense and made Brandon Staley's unit one of the most dangerous entering 2022. And the final team that I loved their offseason, the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have had an extraordinary offseason. I think a lot of people are sleeping on what the Raiders have done this offseason. It starts with the coach. For whatever reason, Josh McDaniels being hired by the Raiders has not gotten enough headlines. Josh McDaniels is a game-changing coach. Game-changing coach. He is one of the best offensive coordinators in NFL history, one of the most successful offensive coordinators in NFL history, and one of the smartest coaches in the NFL, period. He's going to bring details to the Raiders that they have not had in quite some time. He's going to make them a better football team, schematically, on both sides of the ball. And then you talk about what they've done to upgrade this roster, upgrade this team. The vibe is incredible. Offensively, Devontae Adams to go along with Derek Carr, who they re-signed. They made it a priority. They re-signed Derek Carr. They keep him around as their franchise quarterback. John Gruden, for whatever reason, could never commit to him. McDaniels did it right away. Max Crosby, same thing. Defensive leader, defensive guy that works really hard. He is the guy that's setting the tone. You re-sign him. You pay your 2 top guys on both sides of the football. You get him his best friend in Davante Adams, who's going to change the numbers defensively. It's going to make Darren Waller better. It's going to make Hunter Renfrow better. It's going to make your offense better. You add depth to the offensive line and just about everywhere else. This team has a ton of depth now, a ton of competition. At corner, they add a bunch of players, including Anthony Everett, who is one of my favorite adds this offseason. Jayon Brown at linebacker was one of my favorites on top of Kenny Young. Defensive line, you're changing schemes. So guys like Bilal Nichols is in, and guys like Solomon Thomas are out. But nonetheless, you do a phenomenal job of quickly transitioning schemes and not having to go a year where your defense and your personnel doesn't match the scheme that will be on the field, kind of like the Chargers were last year. So you're going to be dynamic offensively with the moves you've made, dynamic defensively with the change in scheme, and an attention to detail from the coaching staff that we haven't seen with the Raiders in quite some time. On top of that, you also brought in winners. You brought in leaders. You brought in Brandon Bolden, Daron Harmon, Chandler Jones, guys that have been there, guys that have done that, and guys that can put you over the top in terms of your locker room, personality, and just in those big moments to inspire this football team to the next level. So the Raiders did a phenomenal job, from the hire of the coach and the general manager to what they've done with the roster. And that is an off season. Those are my favorite off seasons of 2022. Let me know yours in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Gronk, spike the like button. Peace!